All right. Turn this over this time. We are in Genesis chapter 32.
Vamos en Génesis capítulo 32.
And again, I hope that perhaps we'll have some who join us on the internet and be able to study along with us. Jacob heads home.
Jacob regresa a casa.
He is afraid of Esau and sends him a gift.
Le tiene miedo a Esaú y le envía un regalo.
And wrestles with an angel.
Lucha con el ángel.
Genesis chapter 32, verses 1 and 2.
Génesis capítulo 32, verso 1 y 2.
And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. And when Jacob saw them, he said, "This is God's host." And he called the name of the place Mahanaim.
Jacob siguió su camino y le salieron al encuentro ángeles de Dios. Y dijo Jacob cuando los vio, campamento de Dios es este, y llamó el nombre de aquel lugar Mahanaim.
The name here means two hosts or camps.
El nombre aquí significa dos anfitriones o campamentos.
We are not told why the angels met him here, possibly to show that God was watching out for him.
No se nos dice por qué los ángeles lo encontraron aquí, posiblemente para mostrar que Dios estaba cuidando de él.
In Genesis chapter 32, verses 3 to my lord Esau, thy servant Jacob saith thus, I have sojourned with Laban and stayed there until now. And I have oxen and donkeys, flocks and men servants and women servants, and I have sent to tell my Lord that I may find grace in thy sight. And the messengers returned to Jacob, saying, We came to thy brother Esau, and also he cometh to meet thee, and 400 men with him. Then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided the people that was with him, and the flocks and the herds, herds, and the camels into two bands. Verse 8, and said, If Esau come to the one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape.
Verso 3 al 8, leemos. Y envió Jacob mensajeros delante de sí a Esaú su hermano, a la tierra de Seir, campo de Edom. Y les mandó diciendo, así diréis a mi señor Esaú, así dice tu siervo Jacob con Labán he morado, y con Labán he morado, y me he detenido hasta ahora, y tengo vacas, asnos, ovejas, y siervos y siervas, y envió a decirlo a mi señor para hallar gracia en tus ojos. Y los mensajeros volvieron a Jacob diciendo, vinimos a tu hermano Esaú, y él también viene a recibirte, y 400 hombres con él. Entonces Jacob tuvo gran temor y se angustió, y distribuyó el pueblo que tenía consigo, y las ovejas, y las vacas, y los camellos en dos campamentos. Y dijo, si viene Esaú contra un campamento y lo ataca, el otro campamento escapará.
Why does Jacob send messengers to his brother Esau?
¿Por qué Jacob envía mensajero a su hermano Esaú?
Remember that Esau had determined to kill Jacob, Genesis chapter 27 and verse 41. And though it has been 20 years, Genesis 31 and verse 41, Jacob is not sure whether Esau still wishes to kill him or not.
Recuerde que Esaú había decidido matar a Jacob, Génesis capítulo 27, verso 41. Y aunque han pasado 20 años, Génesis capítulo 31, verso 41, Jacob no está seguro de si Esaú todavía desea matarlo o no.
In Genesis 27 and verse 41,
Génesis capítulo 27, versos 41.
We read, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
Y aborreció Esaú a Jacob por la bendición con que su padre le había bendecido, y dijo en su corazón, llegarán los días de luto de mi padre, y yo mataré a mi hermano Jacob.
And in 31, verse 41, we read, Thus have I been 20 years in thy house. I served thee 14 years for thy 2 daughters, and 6 years for thy cattle, and thou hast changed my wages 10 times.
Génesis capítulo 31, verso 41. Así he estado 20 años en tu casa, 14 años te serví por tus 2 hijas y 6 años por tu ganado, y has cambiado mi salario 10 veces.
This, of course, seems to suggest that the two have not been in communication for the 20 years.
Esto, por supuesto, parece sugerir que los dos no han estado en comunicación durante 20 años.
They couldn't just pick up the telephone. When the servants returned with the news that Esau is coming with 400 servants, this certainly frightens Jacob.
Cuando los sirvientes regresan con la noticia de que Saúl viene con 400 sirvientes, esto ciertamente asusta a Jacob.
In Jacob's mind, this suggests he is coming to kill him. Most of us would likely be afraid.
En la mente de Jacob, esto sugiere que viene a matarlo. La mayoría de nosotros probablemente tendríamos miedo.
It is interesting to note that Esau has at least 400 men serving him. He has certainly prospered.
Es interesante notar que Saúl tiene al menos 400 hombres a su servicio. Ciertamente ha prosperado.
Jacob divides his group into two with the thought that if Esau attacks one, the other can escape.
Jacob divide su grupo en dos con la idea de que si Esaú ataca a uno, el otro puede escapar.
Of course, he should have remembered God's promises.
Por supuesto, debería haber recordado las promesas de Dios.
In fact, in his prayer, he does remember it.
De hecho, en su oración sí lo recuerda.
In verses 9 through 12, chapter 32,
Génesis capítulo 32, verso 9 al 12.
and Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which saidst unto me, Return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of all the truth which thou hast showed unto thy servant, for with my staff I passed over this Jordan, and now I am become 2 bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau, for I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother with the children. And thou saidst, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sand of the sea, which cannot be numbered for multitude.
Génesis capítulo 32, verso 9 al 12. Y dijo Jacob, Dios de mi padre Abraham, y Dios de mi padre Isaac, Jehová, ¿qué me dijiste? Vuélvete a tu tierra y a tu parentela, y yo te haré bien. Menor soy que todas las misericordias y que toda la verdad que has usado para con tu siervo, pues con mi cayado pasé este Jordán, y ahora estoy sobre 2 campamentos. Líbrame ahora de la mano de mi hermano, de la mano de Saúl, porque le temo, no venga acaso y me hiera la madre con los hijos, Y tú has dicho, yo te haré bien, y tu descendencia será como la arena del mar, que no se puede contar por la multitud.
Do we sometimes pray in such manner,
A veces oramos de esa manera,
reminding God of His promises?
recordarle a Dios sus promesas.
Of course, God already knows His promises. Is this for our own benefit?
Por supuesto, Dios ya conoce sus promesas. Es esto para nuestro propio beneficio.
Jacob petitions God for his help for deliverance.
Jacob le pide a Dios su ayuda y liberación.
In Genesis chapter 32, verses 13 through 23,
Génesis capítulo 32, verso 13 al 23.
and as we go through, we're going to break that up a little bit. We're not
Okay.
going to read it all at once. Jacob sends a series of gifts for Esau. He sends each with a message.
Jacob envía una serie de regalos para Esaú, envía cada uno con un mensaje.
Beginning in verse 13, and he lodged there that same night, and took of that which came to his hand a present for Esau his brother, 200 she goats and 20 he goats, 200 ewes and 20 rams, 30 milk camels with their colts, 40 kine and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 foals. And he delivered them into the hand of his servants, every drove by themselves, and said unto his servants, Pass over before me, and put a space betwixt drove and drove.
Verso 13 to
16.
Verso 13 al 16. Y durmió ahí aquella noche y tomó de lo que le vino a la mano un presente para su hermano Esaú, 200 cabras y 20 machos cabrios, 200 ovejas y 20 carneros, 30 camellas paridas con sus crías, 40 vacas y 10 novillos, 20 asnas y 10 borricos. Y lo entregó a sus siervos cada manada de por sí, y dijo a sus siervos, pasad delante de mí y poned espacio entre manada y manada.
In verses 17 through, through 20.
Versos 17 al 20.
And he commanded the foremost, saying, When Esau my brother meeteth thee, and asketh thee, saying, Whose art thou? And whither goest thou? And whose are these before thee? Then thou shalt say, They be thy servant Jacob's. It is a present sent unto my lord Esau, and behold, also he is behind us. And so he commanded the second and the third, and all that followed they drove, saying, On this manner shall ye speak unto Esau when ye find him. And say ye moreover, Behold, thy servant Jacob is behind us. For he said, I will appease him with the present that goeth before me, and afterward I will see his face. Peradventure he will accept of me.
Versos 17 al 20. Y mandó al primero diciendo, si Esaú mi hermano te encontrare y te preguntare diciendo, ¿de quién eres? ¿Y a dónde vas? ¿Y para quién es esto que llevas delante de ti? Entonces dirás, es un presente de tu siervo Jacob que envía a mi señor Esaú, y he aquí también él viene tras nosotros. Mandó también al segundo y al tercero y todos los que iban tras aquellas manadas diciendo, conforme a esto hablaréis a Esaú cuando le hallaréis, y diréis también, he aquí tu siervo Jacob viene tras nosotros, porque dijo, apaciguaré su ira con el presente que va delante de mí, y después veré su rostro, quizá le seré acepto.
Got a couple of things I got ahead of myself a little bit. In Genesis 32, verses 24 through 32.
Génesis capítulo 32, verso 24 al 32.
And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint, and he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel, for a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, Tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, Wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank.
Verso 24 al 32. Así se quedó Jacob solo y luchó con él un varón hasta que rayaba el alba. Y cuando el varón vio que no podía con él, tocó en el sitio del encaje de su muslo y se descoyuntó el muslo de Jacob mientras con él luchaba. Y dijo, déjame, porque raya el alba. Y Jacob le respondió, no te dejaré si no me bendices. Y el varón le dijo, ¿cuál es tu nombre? Y él respondió, Jacob. Y el varón le dijo, no se dirá más tu nombre Jacob, sino Israel, porque has luchado con Dios y con los hombres y has vencido. Entonces Jacob le preguntó y dijo, declárame ahora tu nombre. Y el varón respondió, ¿por qué me preguntas por mi nombre? Y lo bendijo ahí. Y llamó Jacob el nombre de aquel lugar Peniel, porque dijo, vi a Dios cara a cara y fue librada mi alma. Y cuando había pasado Peniel, le salió el sol y cojeaba de su cadera. Por esto no comen los hijos de Israel hasta hoy día del tendón que se contrajo, el cual está en el encaje del muslo, porque tocó a Jacob este sitio de su muslo, en el tendón que se contrajo.
Jacob wrestles with the angel.
Jacob lucha con el ángel.
Who was this individual?
¿Quién era este individuo?
Was it an angel?
¿Fue un ángel?
Notice verse 24.
Note verso 24.
And Jacob was left alone, and there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of the day.
Así se quedó Jacob solo y luchó. Verse 24.
24.
Así se quedó Jacob solo y luchó con él un varón hasta que rayaba el alma.
No, the custom that comes of this, verse 32.
Nótese la costumbre que surge de esto, verso 32.
Therefore the children of Israel eat not of the sinew which shrank, which is upon the hollow of the thigh unto this day, because he touched the hollow of Jacob's thigh in the sinew that shrank.
Por esto no comen los hijos de Israel hasta hoy día del tendón que se contrajo, el cual está en el encaje del muslo, porque tocó a Jacob este sitio de su muslo en el tendón que se contrajo.
Any questions or comments?
¿Alguna pregunta o comentario?
I understand the angel touched his thigh, but what makes it for them not to eat it?
It's custom that they have because it shrank. Is what it says.
Strange stuff.
Go back to the idea, and I didn't really develop it in here as much as I should have, but who was this angel or this individual? ¿Quién era este ángel o individuo? Individual. And I didn't put all this in there because there's a lot of opinion. We hear people talk about angels. The Bible, at least in the King James Version, says, talks about the idea of it being a man. And I was reading various commentaries on this, and there's some interesting ideas. Some thought is that this is in fact Jesus, pre-incarnate, obviously before he became Christ. That this is the second person in the Godhead. To that point, I don't remember which commentary it was that was making this point, but going into the idea that basically Jesus took on the form of a person without actually becoming a person. And there's a lot of back and forth on this idea. Certainly, whoever this is there is some ability there, some strength. He touches his thigh, and the sinew in his thigh shrinks. So there's something there that is beyond. Because I get in a wrestling match, with someone, and I reach over and touch their thigh. Their thigh is not going to shrink because of that. But anyway, um, you can study that for yourself, and kind of look at that. I've heard both arguments that is Jesus, that it isn't Jesus. Bible doesn't say it's Jesus. It doesn't say it's not Jesus. It says it's man. And I also want to make note, and again, I didn't put this in my notes. Jacob, well, first of all, it says in chapter 1, or chapter 32, excuse me, verse 1, capítulo 32, versículo 1. And Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God, the word angels there is the same exact word in the Hebrew that is for messengers in verse 3. The idea there is these messengers. That's what angels are, messengers, servants of God. And we need to keep that in mind. And so, and that's not to say that in this case it's not talking about angels, but the word again is messenger. Any further questions or comments? Not? We'll stop here, and we'll be in chapter 33 next week. Again, appreciate anyone who has or will listen on the internet, watch on the internet, and hopefully it's helpful to them.